So let's talk about desktop environments. All of these are Ubuntu variants. That's what I'm doing this video on. So we're going to talk about Lxqt, Cinnamon, Gnome, Mate, OpenBox briefly, Plasma, which is my personal favorite. I'll try not to let my bias show. And Xfce. We're going to talk about all of those. We're going to pull some information in from Xfce. I will link this article in the description. And I want to talk about KDE Plasma. They say it's one of the most popular desktop environments. It's true between Plasma and Gnome. Those two are the most popular. Gnome because that's what a lot of the big companies are going with, and Plasma because everybody just thinks it's a great desktop environment. And it looks like KDE has managed to beat Xfce as one of the lightest desktop environments. Yes, it has. And there's several reasons for that. I'm not going to go into all the details, but the TLDR is Plasma worked really hard to get their environment lighter. At the same time, Xfce, Mate, Lxqt, a lot of those other environments, in order to become modern day versions of themselves, had to follow along with the GDK3 paradigm, and GDK3 is very heavy. Just it is. So it's a combination of Plasma getting lighter and all those other environments getting heavier because of GDK3. So if you want a fast, very customizable desktop environment, really hard to beat KDE Plasma. So we have KDE Plasma running right here. This is running in a virtual machine, so it's going to be slightly slower than it would be otherwise. But this is all the goodness that it comes with. This is specifically Kubuntu. Still one of my favorite distros on the planet. If you need something stable, especially right now, considering 22.04 just released, Ubuntu is going to be a great distro. If you need a good, solid, stable distro for your first distro, if you need it to work with secure boot, and you need it to be easy to install, Kubuntu is going to check every one of those checkboxes. This is Kubuntu. This is KDE Plasma. A lot of the times, one of the complaints is the customization options and tools might be a little too overwhelming for newbies, and you can kind of see that. If you go to system settings, you'll see there are a lot of settings. This entire left-hand list right here are the system settings for KDE. You can do everything, including wash the kitchen sink with this. It's just absolutely unreal. However, if you know what you're looking for, you can do a search. If you want to change what the display looks like, you can do a search on display, and it will show up your login screen display and your hardware monitor display configuration. So take advantage of that little search box. It will help you a lot. And login, desktop effects, login screen, auto start, desktop session, Windows shares. Use that search box. It will help out immensely. And once you have used an option, that's going to show up right here in the most used settings. Xfce says pros, modern and polished user interface. I absolutely agree with that. To me, it looks very good. Highly customizable and flexible experience. Absolutely. One of the things that I love about it is I can have my terminal inside of file browser, and when I change folders, the terminal follows along with me. I love that. Several useful tools built in. Absolutely. One of the best tools I've ever found in Linux, and anything Linux, KDE Connect. Oh man, I just can't hardly use a computer anymore without using KDE Connect to connect my Android phone to my Linux system. I love it. I love it. Transfer files, images, data, games. I do Godot game programming. If I want to send a if I want to make a quick example game, save it to my computer, upload it to my phone with KDE Connect in just a click or two, boom, it's on my phone. Love it, love it. Again, I'm monitor over here on this side over here, and if I'm watching TV, Pluto TV or something, I get a phone call, KDE Connect will pause, and they list the Last Pro as being extremely lightweight, which, yep, it sure is. And the one con that they have, customized options tools, might be a little too overwhelming. We covered that already. So now we're going to talk about Mate. So Mate was actually designed to follow in the footsteps of Gnome 2. When Gnome 3 came out, a lot of people were not happy with that decision, the decisions that they were making. So Mate happened. When Mate picked up Gnome 2 where it left off, it was GTK 2 based. And Mate suffered from the same problem as the rest of them that were based on GTK, that they, in order to go into the modern day, to become modern, they too were going to have to tag along with GTK 3, which meant suddenly the Gnome 2 felt heavier than it used to, because it is, because of GTK 3. However, Mate is an outstanding implementation of what Gnome used to be, and combined with a modernization of what Gnome 2 could have been had they not needed to drop what they were doing in order to become modern day, a modern DE. So it's kind of, Mate you can think of as Gnome 2 that continued to improve until today. It's actually really good. I really like it. And I did use Gnome back in the day when I used Gnome 2 when KDE 4 came out, and it was so bad. It was heavy. It was clunky. I did use Gnome 2 for about a year, and then I got KDE 4 started getting better, and then KDE 5 came out, and just the things they've done have been amazing. So one of the things that I like desktop icons. I know I'm old fashioned, but desktop icons in Mate is real easy. You go to the item you want, you right click, and you can pin to desktop. Just like that, you have an icon. And they talk about, the people that like Gnome say it's just faster the way they use it, but how can it be faster when I can launch a program with one click? One click of a button, I can launch a program. Other than that, I really like Mate, and if you want to have a nice first desktop environment and experience, look for Mate. So Xfce has it listed as pros, easy to use, and robust experience. It is actually really easy to use. And right there's a control center. The control center looks a lot like Gnome because, well, it's GTK 3, so I'm not going to deviate too far. But there's a lot of nice standard settings in here. And yeah, it's a good implementation. Other pros, lightweight. It is lightweight for GTK 3 desktop environment. It is actually pretty lightweight. And simple yet customizable. Yeah, it's pretty customizable. Cons, may not offer the most intuitive a user experience. It's not this, if somebody's coming from Windows, they're going to expect the start menu to be the bottom left. It's actually at the top left. Your menu comes down, and you kind of have to know what you're looking for in order to find what you're looking for. So that's that's a thing. Whereas in KDE Plasma, your start button can be down here at the bottom left. It can be in Mate too. You just have to figure out how to do it. So now we're going to talk about Gnome. Finally, we're going to talk about Gnome. I like Gnome. Gnome has dragged me in, kicking and screaming the whole way to like Gnome. I actually do like Gnome. So, with that out of the way, we're going to talk about Xfce says, pros, modern and touch-friendly UI. It is very modern. To me, it's entirely too much like iOS, but it is definitely modern and it is definitely touch friendly. You can extend functionalities through GNOME shell extensions. Absolutely, you can. And the pros, and they also have listed in the pros that it's very customizable. And that part I'm going to argue with. GNOME is not customizable. It is not. And anybody that tells you that it is, definitely not going to say they're lying, but they're just not accurate. Because in order for GNOME to be customizable, you have to install extensions and other software. And by that same moniker, I can actually say Windows or Mac OS is very customizable if I'm going to install something else to make it customizable. And the fact that I have to install something else tells me that GNOME itself is not customizable. And it's not. However, you can customize the heck out of it if you install the right extensions, the right plugins, the right whatever. You can definitely customize it in a great way. And as an example of that, this is GNOME, and you'll see Ubuntu. That is this same GNOME with extensions and plugins and different things to make it. It's still GNOME, it's just a different look, and it's a completely different look. So it is very customizable if you install the right things. Cons: not suitable for older computers. Definitely not. It is very heavy, slow, heavy, fat, sluggish. If you're not running this on a fairly beefy system, you're probably not going to be happy with it. Use something faster, like KDE Plasma. It's much faster, much lighter. Lxqt, we're going to look at it shortly. Lxqt is one of the lightest and fastest desktop environments that you can look at. We're also going to briefly take a look at OpenBox, and it is not a desktop environment. It is sitting there waiting for you to tell it to do something. It is not sitting there trying to look pretty or look anything. It's a black screen waiting for your input. That's as fast as you can get. So other than that, and just real quick, we'll take a look at Ubuntu. This one is running 42, GNOME version 42. GNOME version 42 and up is actually really good. And I think what happened is GNOME pulled the KDE 4 when GNOME first came out. It was awful when GNOME Shell first came out. It was awful. It was just like KDE 4. It was terrible. They worked on it, improved it over the years, and finally it's worth something really nice. It is good. I do like it. It's not for me. I want something a little more desktop standard. And one thing I do like is the activities. You can go in here, you can bring that up, and you can put different things on a different activity window. And it will just add the activities as needed, as you're adding to them. So the next one we're going to take a look at is Cinnamon, where Mate was a fork of GNOME 2. Cinnamon is actually a fork of GNOME 3. It was originally developed to be and is the default desktop environment for Linux Mint. If you think Cinnamon, Linux Mint and Cinnamon just kind of go together. They are one and the same. Linux Mint made Cinnamon for their desktop environment, and then they let it loose to the world, and you can get Cinnamon on just about any desktop or any distro out there. According to Xfce Pro's sleek and polished look, I do really like their look. This is really good. It's easy to add things into favorites and desktop and panel. If you add to panel, it shows up right here. And unpin from panel. If you want to add something to the desktop, it's just as easy as right click, add to desktop. Right there it is. This is a great implementation of GNOME 3. Continuing on with the pros, familiar interface. There is a start button at the bottom left. It has your folders, your file browser buttons. It has your connections on the bottom right for volume and internet and removable drives, wired connection, English. So pretty familiar if you're coming from Windows. It's a very familiar layout. When you bring up the file browser, everything's kind of in that familiar layout like you would see if you were coming from Windows. Another pro is it's pretty customizable. I don't know enough about Cinnamon to know for sure how customizable it is. I am going to take a real quick look, see if we can find its, that should be it right there. Its control panel. So its control panel looks quite a bit like Gnome, to be honest with you. See what appearance looks like. So backgrounds, effects. We can do some animations at startup, desktop effects, Windows effects, effects on menu, mapping windows, closing windows. It's got effects, fly, move. That's cool. Lots of nice things here. Really like this. Not quite the effect that you get from KDE Plasma, but pretty nice. Cons may not offer the most intuitive user experience. And I might argue that a little bit. It's pretty standard. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why they're thinking that. But overall, I like this as a GNOME 3 implementation pretty well. So now we'll take a look at Lxqt real quick. Again, reading from its FOSS, Lxqt is a lightweight Qt desktop environment. When compared to LXDE, it's safe to say that Lxqt is indeed a lightweight desktop environment, while providing a better user experience than LXDE in terms of look and feel. So they say even though Lxqt tries to present a modern look without compromising the performance, it is still the most non-intuitive experience out there. It's just a really basic layout. This looks kind of Windows 98-ish, if I remember right. But it's very efficient and very effective. It is super fast. If you have an old computer that you need to bring into the modern day, it doesn't have the best specs, doesn't have the most RAM, and you just need something that's going to run just really fast and efficient. It's hard to beat Lxqt. We're going to look just real quick. You know, it looks very basic. It does what it does in a good way. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of good I can say about it other than it's being super fast. There's not a lot of bad I can say about it either because it just works. It's fast. It doesn't do much eye candy, but it works very well for what it does. Again, if you just need something fast and gets out of your way, this is it, Lxqt. And this Lxqt is Lubuntu. So if you're looking for something easy to install, it's a super easy to install, super fast, works great on old hardware. Definitely give a Lubuntu a look. It's pretty good. So next we're going to look at Xfce. This is Xubuntu or Xubuntu, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it. You have your controls are at the top left and the top right, a little bit more similar to GNOME 2. You had the functions at the top left and top right, so this really looks a lot like GNOME 2. And it's kind of dated like GNOME 2 for that matter, but it's actually not bad. It's not as fast as Lxqt, but it is pretty fast. It's one of the fastest ones out there. So definitely give this a look. And across the right, you've got your Wi-Fi, your connections, your notifications. Some of these notifications are on here twice because I have so many desktop environments installed in one shot in one place. This is all coming off the same install, so that's why there's some doubling up. But this is what you get. And they actually have done a pretty good job of bringing the look into the modern day. This is not bad. I was actually expecting to load this and go, my goodness, this looks so old. They've done good things here. I'm actually impressed. You won't find much as far as animations or any of that goes. It's kind of like Lxqt. It is what it is, but for lightweight distribution, it's really good. So if you've got, and again, if you've got an older computer that you need to put something lightweight on, try Xubuntu or Xubuntu, Xubuntu, or Manjaro also has Xfce. So we're going to read real quick from Xfce, one of the most lightweight desktop environments out there. You'll find it on most distributions, light on resources, but provides a feature-rich user experience. Yeah, kind of. Does not have advanced customizations. I agree with that. It says pros, lightweight and adaptable to old hardware. Yes, modern and visually appealing. Pretty much. It's not bad. It has impressed me. I thought the last time I loaded up Xfce, I really didn't care for it because it looked so old, but they've done good things here. I like this. I will start supporting and suggesting Xfce and Xubuntu more often, and Manjaro Xfce. Last pros, Windows-like familiar UI. Do not agree with that at all. Cons are no advanced customizations. Pretty much it is, you get what you get. So I told you I was going to show you OpenBox, and we have selected OpenBox. We're going to put our login password in. It is now loaded. This is OpenBox. Right click, and it's waiting for you to select something. Oh, that is OpenBox. That's it. Restart computer, exit, terminal emulator, web browser. Don't have one associated yet. That's why it's did that. OpenBox configuration. Super duper quick. If you need something that is super duper quick, this is the one. Anyway, that is my overview of desktop environments come 2022. If you like this video, if you like what I do here, please like and subscribe and make an old trucker happy. Until next time, thanks for watching.